Hey there, it's Seb Frey here with another exciting episode of Seb Frey TV, and you're saying, gee, Seb, it better be a darn exciting episode because it's been so long since the last episode, and indeed, it has been a long time, and indeed, I do have a good episode for you because I'm going to talk about a subject which comes up for a lot of homeowners and home buyers, which is deferred maintenance, right? So how does deferred maintenance impact your ability to sell a home and the price that you can sell it for? So good news, if you want to sell a home with some deferred maintenance, don't sweat it because you can sell any home regardless of the condition. Even if it's burned down where there's just like one charred back wall of the house left, you can still sell that home because there's a buyer for every home. But what matters is the price, right? So like, how do you calculate, what the market is going to pay for a home which has some degree of deferred maintenance? Well, that's a good question. So let's just say that your home is about 2,000 square feet and you're looking at other homes which are about 2,000 square feet, which have sold recently in your market area or your neighborhood. And you notice that, similar or comparable homes have been selling for about $400 a square foot, and they're about 2,000 square feet. So 2,000 times 400 is $800,000. So you're thinking, yeah, I want to get $800,000 for my home. And then you say, okay, well, maybe mine needs new paint and maybe it needs new carpet. Maybe it could use some new windows or X, Y, or Z, right? So, you figure it out. Like you say, look, like a cosmetic refresh on my house, it's going to run maybe around, say, $50 a square foot, right? So it's a 2,000 square foot house. And you say, I'll knock off $100,000 of the price. And so I'll ask $700,000 when all these other houses are $800,000. And that should be a good bargain. The buyers are going to come running. So the buyers, they are going to come running because it is going to be a lot less than the other houses, which have a similar square footage, location, lot size, and all that stuff. But then they get in your house and they say, wow, it's going to cost $100,000 to fix this up. And so therefore, are they going to pay $700,000 because it's only going to cost $100,000? And the answer is no, they're not going to give you $700,000 when they figure it needs $100,000 worth of work. Why? Because people these days, they don't want to buy fixer-uppers. Most people are not looking for fixer-uppers. Most people want homes that are just move-in ready. So if you're going to ask them to do all that work, you're going to have to give them some incentive to do that work, right? They're going to want like an extra bargain, not just like adjusted for the cost of repair. They're going to want to adjust it for the hassle, the time, the discomfort of living in a home that's going under repair, and of course the risk, because while they think it's going to be a $100,000 repair cost, it could easily be a $150,000 repair cost. They don't really know. Another thing to consider is that if they buy a home that's already been, rehabbed or refreshed for $800,000, the money for that is very cheap. It's just purchase money, right? If they buy a house for $700,000, where do they get the other $100,000 to fix it up? I mean, if they're buying a house for $700,000, that means they need $140,000 cash plus closing costs for a down payment. Where are they going to get the extra $100,000 that they need to put their home into that kind of condition? The answer is they're not going to. Most of them just will not have those kinds of funds available. So they're going to have to do it over time, right? You're going to have to find a buyer who is willing to fix up the property over time. But see, those buyers, they are going to want to get even more of a discount because they're going to have to live in a home which, is kind of rough around the edges. And maybe it's fine for you. You've had a lot of memories in there. You have friends in the neighborhood. That home is worth a lot more to you, even in its current condition, than it is to a new subsequent buyer. So you really have to understand that you have to price your home below the repair cost or below the upgrade cost to bring your home into the market average. You need to price it below that. Now the question is, how much below that? No, that's a good question, and it varies from market to market and house to house. But I would say a good rule of thumb is to price it an additional 50% below the repair cost, right? So let's just say you figure the repair cost is going to be $100,000, so therefore you want to take $150,000 off the average market price to give them the proper incentive, to give them the proper offset for the risk, so that when they buy that house with all that deferred maintenance, right, there is some more upside for them than just basically no upside, right? Because if you're saying you have to pay, $700,000 plus $100,000, there's no upside. There's no benefit for them to go through all that hassle and risk to, in the end, get a house that is worth $800,000, which they could have just bought without all that hassle and risk much more quickly and easily, and at a cheaper cost too, because purchase money is very cheap compared to like money that you might borrow from any other source virtually. So if you have a home with deferred maintenance, just know you can sell it. It's not going to be hard to do, and there are benefits to pricing your home lower. Let's just say you do price your home $650 in a neighborhood which other houses are going for $800,000, which are comparable or similar. They just have been more recently upgraded. You are going to get a lot more interest in your property than those people who are selling at $800, because what's the most important thing in any real estate purchase? Location, location, location. Location is the one thing you can't change. So there are people who are out there who are looking for those sweat equity projects, but they do want to get more equity for their sweat, and you are going to need to price it a little bit cheaper than just the cost to cure that deferred maintenance. But the good news is it can be done. You can do it, and I can help you. Hey, if you ever want to talk about real estate, go ahead, give me a call, 800-489-8299. That's my 800 number. You can also, of course, reach out to me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or wherever you are seeing this video. And do me a favor, would you share this or give me a like or a comment or anything out there? I would really appreciate it. All right, that is it for this episode of Seb Frey TV. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found it useful. And I will have a new episode of Seb Frey TV up before too long.